like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Diorpop Purple Heart. Today we're diving into a moment that may have looked like just another photo shoot on the surface, but for those who truly pay attention, it felt like something much deeper. Under the bright studio lights, with cameras flashing and staff moving around, there was a quiet story unfolding between Jimin and Jungkook. And standing nearby, watching, smiling, understanding, was JHope. Sometimes love doesn't need dramatic confessions. Sometimes it exists in the smallest gestures, the softest glances, the instinctive movements that only happen when two people are completely comfortable with each other. And sometimes, it takes a best friend to quietly witness it all. So today we're talking about that photo shoot. The energy, the subtle interactions, and how JHope seemed to become the warm, knowing witness to a connection that continues to grow right before our eyes. Let's get into it. Throughout the long journey of BTS, countless moments have been captured on camera, on stage, backstage, in studios, under blinding lights. Yet some moments feel different. Some feel less like work and more like a quiet chapter of a story unfolding in plain sight. One particular photo shoot featuring Jimin and Jungkook carried that exact feeling. And standing close by, watching with a knowing smile, was JHope, not just as a fellow member, but almost like a gentle witness to something deeper. The studio that day was bright, polished, and carefully arranged. Stylists adjusted fabrics, photographers tested angles, staff members whispered directions. Everything was precise, professional, controlled. But there are certain things no lighting setup can manufacture: connection, comfort, familiarity. Those things either exist or they don't. When Jimin stepped onto the set, he carried his usual quiet elegance. There is something naturally graceful about the way he stands, the way he tilts his head, the softness in his gaze that somehow holds intensity at the same time. Jungkook followed, calm yet magnetic. His presence has matured over the years, less shy, more grounded, but still deeply observant. When the two stood side by side, the atmosphere subtly shifted. The photographer asked them to stand closer. They didn't hesitate. Jungkook adjusted his stance almost instinctively, aligning his shoulder with Jimin's. Jimin shifted slightly in response, as if their movements were guided by an unspoken rhythm. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't exaggerated. It was subtle, so subtle that only those who have watched them for years would recognize the familiarity in it. Across the set, JHope watched. Known as the sunshine of the group, JHope often fills rooms with laughter and playful energy. But what many overlook is how emotionally intelligent he is. He reads the room. He reads people. And in that moment, he wasn't just hyping them up for the shoot, he was observing. When the camera zoomed in for close shots, Jungkook held a steady gaze toward the lens. For a split second, his eyes flickered sideways toward Jimin. It was quick, almost imperceptible. Yet Jimin seemed to sense it immediately. The corners of his lips curved faintly before he refocused on the camera. JHope caught it. He smiled to himself, a small shake of his head as if silently acknowledging what he had just seen. No teasing words were needed, though later, of course, he would tease them anyway. That's who he is. But in that brief pause, there was understanding. Years of living together, training together, struggling together, and succeeding together have created a bond within BTS that goes beyond performance. JHope has witnessed Jimin and Jungkook grow from teenagers into global artists. He has seen Jungkook rely on Jimin during vulnerable times. He has seen Jimin quietly support Jungkook when pressure weighed heavily on him. So during this photo shoot, nothing felt new, but everything felt evolved. At one point, after a series of intense poses, Jimin sat down to adjust his boots. Without being asked, Jungkook stepped behind him and gently straightened the collar of Jimin's jacket. It was a small gesture. Natural, automatic. Not performed for the camera. JHope laughed softly and made a playful comment that made Jimin blush and Jungkook duck his head with a shy grin. It was light-hearted, but it was real. The chemistry in the final photos was undeniable. Fans quickly noticed how seamlessly they fit into the same frame, how their expressions complemented one another, how their body language felt relaxed rather than staged. It wasn't about dramatic poses or forced intimacy. It was about comfort, the kind that only develops over time. And perhaps what made it even more meaningful was JHope's presence in the background of it all. He wasn't interrupting. He wasn't inserting himself. He was simply there, supporting, smiling, occasionally clapping to boost the energy, but mostly allowing the moment to breathe. Being a witness doesn't mean standing at the center of the story. Sometimes it means stepping slightly to the side, giving space for something beautiful to unfold naturally. As the shoot wrapped up and the lights dimmed, the three of them gathered near the monitor to review the photos. Jungkook leaned in close to look at the screen. Jimin stood beside him, their shoulders brushing lightly. JHope wrapped an arm around both of them, laughing as he pointed at one particularly striking shot. 3 different personalities. 1 shared history. What stands out most about that day isn't a single pose or expression. It's the quiet consistency. Jungkook carrying Jimin's bag without being asked. Jimin adjusting Jungkook's sleeve before a shot. JHope noticing every detail, protecting the harmony between them with warmth and humor. In many ways, JHope has always been the emotional bridge within BTS. He senses tension before it becomes visible. He amplifies joy when it appears. And when it comes to Jimin and Jungkook, he seems to understand their dynamic without needing explanations. The photo shoot may have lasted only a few hours. The images may freeze a single second in time. But behind those still frames lives a decade of shared memories, of late-night practices, quiet conversations, shared laughter, and silent support. For fans, those photos felt special because they carried something intangible. Not spectacle. Not exaggeration. Just sincerity. And maybe that is what JHope was truly witnessing that day, not just 2 members posing side by side, but the natural evolution of a bond that has been nurtured quietly over years. Under the studio lights, surrounded by cameras and staff, something honest shone through. And sometimes, honesty doesn't need grand declarations. Sometimes it exists in a glance, a small adjustment of a collar, a shared smile after teasing. JHope stood there, smiling brightly as always. But in his eyes, there was also understanding. Because when you've walked the same road for more than a decade, you recognize real connection when you see it. And on that day, in that photo shoot, he wasn't just another member on set. He was a witness to a story still being written.